The New York Jets take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their third preseason game of 2023. And I've got 5 positions that I'm going to be paying attention to tonight. Let's talk about it. And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watu-K99. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch these videos. Reminder, join us every Wednesday night live, 10 p.m. Eastern for our live show, episode 8 coming up this week. All right, let's get right into Jets versus Buccaneers. Now, in this game, we're starting to see more of the starters emerge, get more playing time. But as the Jets have about as set a roster and as good a roster as they have had in over a decade, there are still certain positions that I'm going to be paying attention to, and I'm going to rank them right now from number 5 all the way to number 1. So at number 5, I'm looking at the running back position. Now, several running back spots are taken. We know what they are. Breece Hall, who, for all intents and purposes, looks like he's going to be active for week 1. He's already been activated from the PUP list. Then you've got Dalvin Cook. You got Anaconda, who, after being drafted, I can't imagine is not going to make this roster. And he has shown quite a few flashes. He's shown some really, really good speed. And this is a player, if the Jets were to ever let him go, he'd be snatched up in a minute. No question about it. So you have those 3 spots. Now, I believe the Jets will carry a 4th running back. They have excellent depth in Michael Carter and bamknight. It's going to hurt to watch one of the 2 of them go, but you can't have 5 running backs on your roster. It's just poor roster construction. So I expect Carter and Bam to get a lot of playing time in this game, and they should, because they are showcasing their abilities not only to the Jets but to other teams, because whoever doesn't make the roster, they're probably going to get cut loose, and who knows, maybe Joe Douglas could actually trade one of these 2 players and get an asset back, Hopefully the 6th round pick that they were supposed to get from Detroit that they just lost, since Denzel Mims has now been cut. So I would like to see one of these running backs go in exchange for a draft pick, and not a conditional pick, but an actual, I don't care if it's a 6th round pick. I just want to get another draft asset somewhere. Okay, and the Jets can certainly do that with one of these running backs. That's number 5. Number 4 is linebacker. I want to see the continued growth of Jamiensherwood. I like what I'm seeing from him. Excellent tackler. Hasn't always been the best in coverage, but he always has a way of getting near the ball. He always ends up with the play, and he's a very, very good tackler. He's going to get a whole lot more playing time this year than he has previously in his career. And I've said this before, but you got to remember, Sherwood had Achilles surgery about 2 years ago. And we're noticing it typically takes you, it doesn't take you even a year from Achilles surgery to really get back to where you were. We talk about this with the ACL. It could take 1.5 to 2 years. And I like what I'm seeing from Sherwood so far, and I want to see him continue to grow in that role. Plus, what are we going to see from some of the younger linebackers? Zaire Barnes looking pretty good, but raw. He should be making the team as well. Do the Jets carry a 5th linebacker? I don't know at this point. We know Coach Saleh loves him some Chazzsurratt. We saw that on Hard Knocks, but he's been hurt as of late with a leg injury. Claudincherelus, he's been hurt too. You have a couple of other guys, but to me, those are the 2 who I think would make a push for an actual roster spot. I don't know if the Jets would carry a 5th linebacker, so I'll be interested to see if either Cherelus or Surratt play in this game tonight against Tampa Bay. Number 3, I'm going to go safety. That's right, we're talking a little extra defense here. Here's the thing, does Tony Adams play in this game? He has not played yet in the preseason, not because of injury, but seemingly because he has a starting role locked down. But I would like to see Tony Adams get some game action. One of my biggest concerns with the Jets and their defense is, can they cover a tight end? I don't know if they can. They're facing so many good tight ends this year. Kelsey, Waller, Goddard, Gesicki, Ingram. There's a lot of tight ends who could, give the Jets some problems this season. Last year, Evan Ingram tortured them. All right, so this has to be addressed, and Tony Adams is probably the best coverage safety that the New York Jets have to offer. So let's see if he gets a chance to play in this game tonight. Also, who takes that 4 safety spot? You know, Ashtyndavis is the incumbent. He's the veteran, plays good special teams. But you've also got Treydean, the undrafted free agent from down in Florida. Dane Cruikshank, who they signed on waivers not that long ago, most recently of the Tennessee Titans. Could one of these safeties take the job? I still think Jarek Bernard-Converse opens the season on the injured list or on the PUP list, whatever the case may be. But I think it's Dean and Davis really competing for one safety roster spot. So let's see what they do tonight. Hey, let's see if Ashtyndavis actually plays defense. Seems like he usually plays special teams. Number 2, I'm going to cheat here a little bit. I'm going to go receivers. I didn't say wide receivers. I'm combining wide receiver and tight end. But there's a very specific reason why I'm doing this. I think there are 9 spots for these 2 positions total. Now, at wide receiver, you have 5 players who you know are there. Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and McCole Hardman. Tight end, you know you have 3 spots locked in C.J. Uzomah, Ty Conklin, and Jeremy Rucker. I think you have 1 spot left. I really think the Jets are going to carry Nick Bawden at fullback, and they're going to have 4 running backs. Doing all the roster gymnastics, playing all the numbers, it really leaves 9 spots for wide receiver / tight end, and it really leaves 1 spot that I think is up for grabs among a lot of young players. So who's going to step up? If you look at the wide receiver room, you know, it's been a little bit underwhelming with how they've performed in the games. You know, Jason Brownlee, good size, but he has not shown the ability to separate from a defender. Then you have Gibson, who has been a good returner. You know, he did have the one fumble, which he picked up. But you wonder about him. There's Malik Taylor. Jerome Cap, we haven't really heard anything from him at all, even though he was turning some heads during the voluntary camps earlier on. So I really don't know about the wide receivers making it here. And who's going to really get the playing time tonight? Will we see any of the starters? I'll be curious to see how Saleh divides up the playing time for the wide receivers. And then at tight end, of course, you have Zach Kuntz, you have Kenny Yeboah. Will one of them take the job? I think Yeboah is not going to make this roster. I feel like the one thing keeping him here was special teams, and Zach Kuntz is being used on special teams. And I think with his combination of size and speed and raw ability, the Jets are not going to want to expose him to waivers. And he's been getting a little bit of use in the passing game, a little bit. Did catch a touchdown, which I was super happy to see. But I think he could be a real weapon on special teams and punt coverage and kick coverage, which has looked fantastic for the Jets so far. Right now, I would say Kuntz is the running favorite for that 9th spot with the skill position players. But let's see what happens in the game tonight. That might change that up. Let's see. And finally, the offensive line is number 1. I really think it's against the law to make a New York Jets preseason video and not address the offensive line at some point, right? So who's going to start tonight? Who's going to start? And after Zach Wilson takes his leave and Tim Boyle comes in, are you going to see a whole bunch of reserves? Where does mekhibecton play? I hope it's at right tackle. I felt from the beginning mekhibecton should be this team's right tackle. He's a much better run blocker than he is pass blocker. And if that's the case, I want him on the right side of Aaron I don't want Becton right now playing left tackle and being responsible for the blind side of our Hall of Fame quarterback. So to me, the lineup I would go with tonight, considering injuries, you're not going to see Dwayne Brown, you're not going to see Laken Tomlinson, and you're not going to see Elijah-Vera-Tucker. So tonight, what I would go with is Billy Turner starting at the left tackle. I know it hurts, but what are you going to do? Joe Tippmann at left guard. That's where they want to play him. Personally, I'd be more interested in moving McGovern over to guard. But until Joe Tippmann can sort of settle down his snapping, his shotgun snaps in particular, I can understand them using him at guard for the time being. So Tippmann at left guard, Connor McGovern at center, Wes Schweitzer at right guard. I still like Schweitzer over Cologne. I preferred Schweitzer to Cologne pretty much since the Jets signed McGovern because I felt Cologne was really the backup center. At this point, I don't think Cologne makes this roster. And finally, Becton at right tackle. And let's see that snap count rise. Let's see it get to, from 27 snaps, let's see it get to 35 or so. Let's see it continue to grow to the point where we can be confident that mekhibecton has locked down that tackle spot. And I'm telling you, I'm going to say it again. I feel like the bread and butter of this offense can become running to the right side. If you put Tippmann at center, AVT at right guard, Becton at right tackle, and you're throwing in a Nick Bawden at fullback, possibly a tight end to assist there, teams are not going to be able to stop the Jets running the football. As great as Aaron Rodgers is, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, I'm telling you, this can work early in the season while the passing game is kind of getting acclimated. I really feel if Brees is ready to go, and this offensive line, if it lines up the way that I'm talking about, it is going to give other defenses fits. Absolute fits, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. Well, what are you looking forward to in the game tonight? What players will you be watching? What positions will you be watching? Put them right down there in the comments. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.